Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
And George, this week we watched Old People with Long Hair to Make Them Look Younger, the movie. I mean, the box said Red Dragon, but
yeah,
subtitle, alternate title. I think that was the French title, actually.
Interesting take.
Yeah.
I like that.
Old People with Long Hair to Look Younger.
It's a shame this was done before the deep fake or the what was the de-aging that they've been doing lately? Because a younger Hannibal.
So like before Instagram filters? They're de-aging sometimes.
Yeah.
So we watched 2002's Red Dragon, the prequel to Silence of the Lambs, and I guess Hannibal, which we just generally don't talk about on this show as a rule. George, you'd seen this before, but it'd been a while. I hadn't seen it since at least 2006, so I mean, it's been a minute. For me,
I think it was in the theater was the last time I saw it.
So it's interesting in my notes to see my perspective as a person who didn't know Silence of the Lambs that well to a person who's now obsessed with it because of our show, basically. You guys got me really hooked on that movie. Nice. George, what are your thoughts on Red Dragon coming right out of the gate?
It was good to watch it again. It had been a very long time because all the jump scares still got me. It's been long enough where I wasn't expecting some things, especially some things towards the end, which how did I not remember? I don't know. It was good.
We're a spoiler show, so you don't have to be cryptic.
Yeah, I mean, especially after watching Silence of the Lambs, the end
is great
of that.
Yeah.
You should know, if you've seen Silence of the Lambs, what's going on right here in this burning house and this blind girl. Like, that face is not his.
Right.
That dude is still alive. Right?
I don't know. They play it so well, though. Okay, Are we going to talk about the end of the movie at the beginning again? We've done this a lot lately.
Yeah, we're going to go backwards.
Yeah, we always do.
We're going to Tarantino this.
But what I'm saying is, it was, you asked me, watching it again, and what I'm saying is it had been so long that I forgot that.
Right.
And it got me again.
When you saw the blood splatter on her face, I was like, oh shit, wow. And I forgot.
Yeah. I forgot
I also
when
forgot.
did it come out? It was like 98?
2002.
2002, okay. Yeah, so I think I saw it. I wasn't working at the movie theater, but I do believe I did watch it in the theater. So that was the last time I saw it. So it was a long time ago.
You know what scene I remember vividly, though? The scene when Francis has the reporter in the wheelchair and he's showing him the pictures.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's like, do you see? Do you see? Do you see? I feel like I'm the reporter in the wheelchair. And you guys are Francis. Like once a week at least.
I have a wheelchair
do
in
you
the basement.
See? Do you see?
I try never to glue people to chairs. It's a little too permanent. But, I mean, if you want it, Travis can make it happen.
Well, thank you for never setting me on fire.
That's a courtesy I extend
to
you guys.
I appreciate that.
I watched the guy who did a review of this movie, and he made me laugh at work out loud because he did that part. He showed that part.
Mm-hmm.
But before he showed the wheelchair coming down the street, he did a Johnny Knoxville Jackass introduction.
Oh, no.
And he goes, and now the flaming wheelchair bit, or something, and then you heard the and then he had it roll down the street. I started, and they had the Jackass logo and everything. It was the funniest thing. I just started laughing. People at work are like, "What the fuck's wrong with this guy?"
Well, you're like listening to it in headphones.
Yeah, because it's such a serious movie.
Yeah,
and
he just threw me. I heard the guitar riff.
I wouldn't mind watching that. That does sound like fun. Hey, so Philip Seymour Hoffman is in this movie, and I don't know if you're familiar with his work at all, George, but he was like one of the kind of like, I don't know, actors, if you know what I mean? Like a guy that you always heard good things and respect from his fellow actors. Sadly, he's no longer with us due to a drug thing. But
yeah, was it overdose?
Yeah, one of those ones where like a batch of hot heroin got out and killed a bunch of people. I think.
You know what's funny about him?
Right.
He was always my favorite character actor that was not serious. Like when he was in Twister, and he was in Along Came Polly. He was just a comedic sidekick, and then he starts doing like these really serious roles like Capote, and I think he got a couple Oscar nominations and stuff. And he was in Patch Adams too.
Yeah, he's in Mission Impossible 3. He does a real scary. Actually, Kevin Smith does a pretty good impression of him in Mission Impossible 3. I won't try it, but
okay.
And he's in a movie that I'm hoping we get snuck in here soon in the clickbaity YouTube world of trashier movies we need to be watching. Guys, can't wait. But yeah, so George, if you're not familiar with Philip Seymour Hoffman, he is he was a heck of an actor, and you believe that he is afraid of the Dragon Man. I mean, that scene with him going one-on-one. Now, do you guys call him Rafe Fiennes or Ralph Fiennes?
I always say Rafe Fiennes.
Why do they say Rafe? Is it a French pronunciation or something?
I don't know. I think when he became big was like during Strange Days back in the late 90s. And I remember them saying his name is Rafe back then. It just kind of stuck.
The scene with, the do you see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hoffman is like this great mix of like casual delivery and like pre-planned oh my God. I don't know. That little scene, that's all I need from him to know that he's really firing on all cylinders. Despite some things that might have held him back otherwise. Guys, can we talk about the people that made this movie real quick? Because it's going to come up a lot tonight.
Sure. Now,
I'm not going to take anything away from the production value of the movie. Like, if I didn't know any better and you told me it was a Michael Bay production, I'd have been like, yeah, it looks great. Everything looks great. It's probably somebody high-powered like that. And it's Dino De Laurentiis.
Laurentiis, yes.
I always want to say Laurinaitis, but it's Laurentiis.
Laurentiis, yeah.
So Dino De Laurentiis, who, by the way, produced Death Wish back in the day, Danger Diabolic, an Italian movie directed by Mario Bava, Halloween 2 and 3,
King Kong remake,
and the Italian weird Amityville 2.
Oh, yeah. I love Amityville. Wait, is that what you said?
Amityville 2? He did the second one, yeah.
Yeah, I love the second one.
Oh,
it's the telling of... But I love it for different reasons.
But it's got that trashy Italian thing going on, which that part I like. But there's too much kid shooting. I don't like that part.
Yeah, but it's a little inside story. My brother-in-law, who is also George's brother-in-law, his family...
How does that work?
Name is DeFeo. And his first name is Ron. And the guy who killed his family in the original Amityville horror movie book story was Ron DeFeo.
Oh, jeez.
And my friend Ron's dad's sister's name was Louise, and the wife's name was Louise. So it was Louise and Ron DeFeo.
Oh, jeez, Louise.
Yeah, so we always... That movie and plus I saw that when I was a kid. That was like one of the first horror movies I saw, so it really freaked me out.
It explains a lot about Travis, actually. Yeah.
Well, I had a bedroom in the basement. The possession happened in the basement. There was just a lot of stuff in that movie that creeped me out.
It's a weird one. I doubt we're ever going to do it on the show, but it's
probably not.
It stands out from the original in a lot of ways. And anyway, produced by the same guy that did this one, so long tenured movie producer. But we've been talking a lot about movies in this era, this early 2000s, late 90s. All the directors have been music video directors who've then turned into... And so last week I said, I haven't looked yet, but I'm betting Brett Ratner probably did a bunch of Nine Inch Nails videos, and he did a lot of music videos, but it was for like pop and rap.
Right.
So I don't know, not taking anything away from that. That's not why he's a sucky director. But guys, he's kind of a sucky director.
Why do you say that?
Because I've seen his other movies. But
yeah, his other movies.
Oh my God. Okay. This is his best.
This is the best one, yeah.
And as I'm watching it today through the lens of someone who's seen his other work and who's obsessed now with Silence of the Lambs, thank you guys for getting me into that movie.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. This whole movie is nothing but one shots of dialogue. Have you noticed how much of this movie is over the shoulder looking at one character, switch, looking at the other character, switch, looking at the first character, switch back to the second character? And so when we talk about, Rafe Fiennes and Philip Seymour Hoffman having this one-on-one scene, I have to point out that this is one of a dozen like one-on-one character moment scenes where like the structure of most dialogue in this movie is almost like a celebrity death match, like one-on-one, I say something, you say something, volley kind of thing.
Yeah, the volley.
It's a lot of that, man.
Do you think that the influence was from Silence but just wasn't executed correctly? Because the whole charm of Silence is those intimate volley scenes between Clarice and Hannibal, and even in this movie they try to capture that a little bit with reflections and all. I knew, I was like, George probably gonna bring up because they do that with Norton a few times where he's like talking to Lecter and they do the reflection in the plexiglass, so they're kind of trying to recapture that.
Yeah, the whole there's plexiglass there and very clear at certain parts, and it kind of disappears at certain other parts purposely.
Right. And I think that he probably just kind of maybe liked the time it took to set up a shot like that, or maybe the actors didn't like acting to each other, so they did a lot of...
No, I think your first theory was right. He's trying to recreate the...
Yeah, a ton of this movie feels like they just
Silence.
took the positive reviews for Silence and then the negative reviews for Hannibal, and we're like, okay, well, we saw what didn't work with Hannibal, so let's just do the cell scene with Clarice with every character in any setting. And then let's add in a lot of the same gags that Clarice had with Hannibal. You know, all this like, you've got to try harder than that. Okay, give me the file. You know, this whole back and forth thing. A lot of that dialogue just feels like they just recycled the same bits from Silence.
You can't redo the quid pro quo. You have to figure out something else witty that Lecter's going to do to mine F you, and not just do the same shit.
You can do it.
You should.
It just sucks.
Right.
A little bit. But like the movies, I'm not going to say I don't like this movie, but a lot of it feels to me just like a retread, which is so weird for it to be a prequel retreading things from a future movie in the same family.
Well, if it's a prequel to an existing IP, then they're obviously going to try to capture that, like any movie. Like, let's say Shrek was so awesome, they made Shrek. You can never make Shrek again. Let's do a movie about Shrek growing up, and they do it, and it's basically all the same jokes and the same whatever. It's just a younger Shrek. They did it with Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumberer. They did it with
Doesn't that have a really good Bob Saget scene in it? I tend to remember something about there being crap on the walls or something.
Yeah.
Very
he has
funny.
a few. There's a couple movies where he makes an appearance and he's iconic. What was the quote from the Dave Chappelle movie? Did you ever see Half Baked?
I didn't know.
Oh my god.
Oh,
he says you've never had to suck dick for coke.
Yeah. You suck dick for crack? Then you haven't hit rock bottom or something like that.
I'm like, oh my god, that's Mr. Tanner.
Oh, by the way, R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
That man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gilbert Gottfried, by the way.
Yeah. R.I.P. I was watching Rick and Morty, and I'm on season 1, right? Because I just started watching
Back to the Future ripoff.
Because it's more, it is, but it's more Dan Harmon. He was the Community guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me just go through more Dan Harmon television goodness. And something happened, and the father was like, "Oh my God, I need to take a video. I need to call Bob Saget." And I was like, "Oh, it's just." I was like, "It was good. Yeah, he does need to call Bob Saget, but he can't anymore."
I'm thinking we are definitely going to watch Aristocrats at some point.
That might be a good bonus feature.
Yeah.
God, that's a fun movie though.
But yeah, they do that in their prequel, like try to capture. So I think that's why this movie is Silence light, I guess.
Yeah, it
Because
feels held back.
They're trying to capture what's in the book, but they know Hannibal Lecter is a recognizable character, so they added some scenes in here to make him more relevant. Then, so you can tell that they added stuff.
If you're looking for a good book, though, George, Red Dragon, the book, very, very good. At the time, when I went through the original, series of Thomas Harris books, it was my favorite of his books. Don't know if it's still that way. I need to reread them all, but
I'm not sure that after watching this movie that I want to read about the Red Dragon. I might become possessed.
You may see, and then you might eat the painting. Guys, I hate that part so much. Can we talk about why I hate that part besides it's so asinine that he eats a painting?
Because the whole time he's chewing, your blood is tingling because you can hear the paper in his mouth.
No, but that is really gross.
That's what I was like, oh my God, I can, like, I'm doing it right now. I can feel it.
Yeah,
like,
it makes you make a face like, oh God, no. No, the thing is, I hate it in movies, and this is something that you see in a lot of movies, when a villain goes on a side quest at a pivotal time. Usually it's in Act 3, because it's part of the way they like escalate right before the conclusion. The idea that you introduce a side quest for the villain that introduces them to like new police scrutiny. It's just so sloppy and doesn't make any sense for a person who's already calculating and avoiding the police at every juncture to then go out and do something so risky and stupid, even if for the passion of the, the beautiful painting or whatever.
Right. The only time that
looks like crap.
The only time that works is when it's like a desperation type thing where or if the character himself wants to get caught, then it works.
We have to steal the Constitution.
Oh man,
God. Like John Doe. John Doe in 7.
Yeah,
kind of does that.
I thought that he had a decent enough motivation to maybe not eat the painting, but destroy it. He was in love. He found a woman that he thought he loved.
She was really good. I almost thought she was blind.
She was very good. I even asked my wife to come in and rate her cane skills.
Oh.
Because that's what my wife does for a living. She teaches blind and visually impaired individuals how to travel safely. So she loves that. She loves that shit in movies. She wants to see how accurately they capture.
Right. Like your
it's cool.
Sister.
She does these cool things, like when she fills the coffee cup, her thumb is like right on the rim. So when the coffee gets up to her thumb, she stops.
Yeah.
Cool stuff like that.
That's the difference between an actor and a good actor.
She loves Son of a Woman.
Well, and it also really helps when you have a good technical advisor.
Right.
Somebody on set who says, this is how it should be. Instead of just like, let's make up the pronunciation of the word infarction. Let's call it infraction. I've heard that word from police shows.
Yep.
I'm not letting that go.
But from in an expert opinion, if I may speak for my wife, she did play a good blind woman.
Yeah.
And her freak out at the end when, after she's got blood on her face and she's outside the house and the police are with her. I would rate it up there next to like the 7 Lust guy. Like it's top tier freak out. There's no acting left. It's all just being.
Yeah. It's being.
Yep.
It reminded me of that scene in Night of the Living Dead remake when Patricia Tallman, who plays oh my God, I can't remember her name. Barbara. Only the biggest character in the movie.
He couldn't remember Barbara. Okay.
Coming to get you, Barbara. When she realizes that these things are so friggin' slow. And then she winds up shooting the one in the head, and she does that. Oh God! Like she just kind of is like so freaked out by it.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like primal. Like Dan said, they're no longer acting. It's just like they're in the moment, and they just do. And then people are like, "Oh my God, you're like method or whatever," and it's like, no, you're just like in it. Yeah, she does the same in this at the end of this.
One major miss for me though in that final scene. I say final scene, in the main arc when the house is burning. Which, by the way, that house looked really great on fire. Very well-produced movie. Dino, top of his game. Hi, this is Dan in post. There's no way we could have predicted where this episode would end up going, but just keep in mind our praise, universally, for the ending of the movie with the giant inferno. Okay, back to the show. Here's the thing that they miss, right? Police roll up and not a single cop goes, oh man, that red dragon, well, he's a new dragon. He doesn't quite have control of his powers yet. Because he burnt the house down. Guys,
Yeah.
I need a dragon joke there, and there's none.
No. No.
What are you, Kevin Smith? I was listening to Kevin Smith's review of the Batman today.
Oh, I
and
bet
it's
that's
him-
fun.
It's him
How many
and-
times does he cry? At least twice.
No, he was his co-host. I can't remember his name. Mark.
Bernard.
Bernard. Yeah. He hated it.
What?
So he let Mark go first. So Mark shit on it for about 35, 40 minutes, and then I think Kevin was like, "Yeah, I can't."
And then
I can't be Kevin Smith here. I got to kind of play it down a little bit, or he's going to rip on me. So he kind of, I've watched him cry over commercials. Like he's like, "Oh, it's the greatest commercial ever," So, and he's a big Batman fan. But I think he has a little hang up that Ben Affleck is his Batman because that's his boy.
That's his favorite.
Yeah, and he really wanted the Dark Knight Returns Batman, and when he got that, I think he was attached.
Yes.
Which is fine. He's of that generation that was his Batman, so I get it.
But listen to him tell jokes about how they could go in a certain direction with the script. And I'm like, yeah, that movie would be terrible. They probably would never make that.
Well, let's see, because they just announced the sequel, so we've still got a chance.
Yeah. No, I'm saying Kevin Smith's suggestions would not have worked.
Well, we'll have to see what he does in the sequel. Maybe he'll get a rewrite. We don't know. Matt Reeves might be like, oh, Kevin Smith just gets this character.
Kevin Smith's Daredevil was pretty good. His comic.
Yeah, his
wrote.
Batman comic did not get a very good reception.
His Batman comic was not as good.
He
but
should
his
not have
Daredevil
had
did
Batman pee his pants.
well.
That was a mistake.
And he also did a Green Arrow, which was pretty good too. So,
yeah. So why did Batman have to pee his pants? Guys, off topic. Back to Red Dragon.
Right.
Oh my gosh. It's a good movie. I like it. George, do you like it?
Because he's a dirty little beast.
He's
That's
a dirty
why.
little beast.
Oh yeah. That
why
whole
Batman
thing,
had
cutting
to,
it off and stuff, that's not good. Actually,
funny,
that's very relevant to the movie. Good job, George.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
thank you.
watching this movie and I'm thinking, Dan last week is going to hate this movie.
Well,
Because-
I was thinking about that too.
Because there's a lot of
there's-
implication of childhood trauma and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
But I'm
there's
not having
there's
to
abuse
see
here.
it.
You
I know.
hear it, but
hear
you
about
don't
it,
see
you don't
it.
see it.
But I
right.
never see it. And that's the thing. Like, the one part of this movie that makes me go, "Ooh, I don't know about how, I'm giving trust to Brett Ratner not to go too far. Like, ooh, is the part where the kid is being held at Glass
Yeah.
Point.
Pees himself. Yeah.
And, like, I get why they do it the way they do it. Like, it ties the whole thing back together and all that. But it's just not a pleasant scene to look at. I don't. Really, everything that happens after he's in the hospital and makes fun of her hair, which is really funny. Like, that's a good human moment. After that, I don't need the rest of this movie. Like, I don't know. It's just a mess. And then the weird shootout part, like, I don't know. But hey, Mary Louise Parker, pre-Weeds, so not
Love
as,
her.
I don't know if she was famous yet at all
No.
when she's in this, but she was great the whole time. Like,
Yeah. She was in a couple like mainstream movies, but
she lets him really have it there at the end, which was good. Good for her. But I felt like the whole execution of that last scene is just a mess. And part of that probably adds to the, like, off the rails
Chaos.
feeling of the thing. But I don't know. I don't know if I needed it.
I vehemently disagree with you.
And that's okay. I kind of
I-
like the
I-
idea that he, blows his own head off and she puts her hand in it and ew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
No.
have to live with that. And instead she puts her hand in the jerk guy's head and it's like, well, that guy sucked, so I don't feel bad
Yeah.
anymore.
No, I thought as uncomfortable as the scene was to watch, where Ed Norton is abusing his son on purpose, to get a rise out of, what's his name, Francis. I mean, I could just keep calling him the Red Dragon. He's the dragon.
At that point, he is the dragon. He has
He
transformed.
is, yeah. So, I thought it was brilliant, and it was, I agree, super uncomfortable to watch. But as I was watching it, I was like, "This is brilliant."
It's kind of like
This-
the Gordon scene with his son and Two-Face at the
Yep.
end when he's like,
Yep.
it's a lot like that scene.
And
Yeah.
I will take 1,000 of these scenes over one kid with a gaping flesh wound getting drowned
Right.
in a baptismal pool.
A fake kid. A dream kid.
A dream kid, a mind
It's not
child.
a
mind
dream,
child.
it's a mindscape.
It's a mind child.
Yikes.
I do have to say that Edward Norton today would have probably killed this role a lot better than he did at this age that he made this movie.
I kept going back and forth on him because he is good in Fight Club. At least I remember him being good in Fight Club. It's been a while. I felt like he sucked in a lot of his scenes, but I don't think it was his fault. It's that weird one-shot over-the-shoulder Brett Ratner style with him trying to keep up with... Because it was really... His worst scenes were with Hannibal, I thought.
Yeah.
His delivery was way too casual. And then you go to Hannibal and he's being Hannibal. All like, Frasier with a ponytail. Did we ever point out that Hannibal reminds me of Frasier? Because the more I watch...
I don't think we did.
No.
The more I watch this, the more I think of this as a Cheers spinoff.
I love it.
Now,
I love the
so much
comparison.
fun.
They got to figure out how to get Niles in there somehow.
Well, and that's the thing, right? You could have had
And
Niles, Norton as Niles, kind of keeping up with him, even just energy level. And instead you get this like, oh, I'm Hannibal Lecter, followed by like, yeah, but like I'm Ed Norton. And the delivery it wasn't congruent with the scene. It was very weird.
The difference is Niles held his own.
Oh yeah.
But
that's what I'm saying. You could have had him be Niles. You could have had him keep up. And he just didn't. And it stinks because I like him. I like Norton. But
what do you mean by keep up? Like, you mean keep up like acting wise?
Yeah,
or
like
dialogue wise.
Every time it would cut from Hannibal back to Ed Norton, what he would say next didn't sound like he was in the same conversation. Or even the same movie a lot of times. It was very casual,
it's something that sometimes happens in movies that you don't get in theater, because in theater you're both on stage in the scene looking at each other and delivering lines that you've rehearsed over and over and over again.
It's in real time.
Yeah. With movies, sometimes they'll set that camera up 7 or 8 times in different, we're doing the wide shot, then the close up, then over the shoulder.
And sometimes if it's a really good movie, they'll move the furniture around.
That's true.
That's true. And the light switches.
But sometimes they might use the wrong take with the wrong, like, let's say you and I are having a scene and they're filming me do my lines to you, you're off screen, and then they flip the cameras and then they do you talking to me and they don't show me. I'm just giving you lines so you can react, but the camera's on you. And then in editing, they might use the wrong take. Like the delivery of the line might not really go with the next delivery of the next line, so it kind of feels weird because they're not, the volley's strange, the pacing's off. So, and the energy might not be there from one guy to the other. And plus, it's probably pretty damn intimidating to be a young Ed Norton.
Yeah.
On screen with Oscar-nominated, Oscar award-winning. I can't imagine doing a scene with Hopkins or Pacino or
Yeah, I mean, like,
Nicholson.
I know that, like, Anthony Hopkins isn't really Hannibal Lecter, but, like, if I met him in real life, I think I would be afraid of him.
He's such a sweet guy, though. But
yeah, he seems like a real nice dude.
And
yeah, but you don't, like, think that he might eat you?
No,
I mean,
but I'm...
Worse ways to go, George. Worse ways to go.
I mean, he seemed like a real nice dude.
But I wouldn't be scared of him.
I'm just kidding.
No matter what, he could play like the scariest dude ever on TV, and I wouldn't be scared of him. I would just be scared. I'd be scared of the guy that's fucking my lines up with this legend, or the guy that's not giving the energy that he's giving,
being that
or
guy.
I'm not as prepared as he is. That would play with me a lot more than the fact that he's Hannibal Lecter. Like that's kind of being starstruck, but it's more about the failure of not being able to keep up with this guy. Like this guy probably has done character study upon character study on this and played scenes in his head that aren't even in the script.
Yeah.
Just to get him to the point where he's having this conversation with me. I don't know what he's prepared. He might have prepared that he's had this conversation with me 17 times in 12 different occasions, and I didn't rehearse it that way, so I'm playing it different. There's just so many ways that it can screw it up.
You don't want to be a bumblefuck when you're across from him. Did you guys ever see the Hannibal show?
TV show?
Like the Netflix show?
I watched like the first 6 episodes.
I have not seen it, but my buddy Jake will send me screenshots from it now and then, like, oh my God, you have to watch this show.
Yeah,
and it's like,
well,
not anymore, because you just showed me all the guts.
Well, the Will Graham, the guy who plays Will Graham, or just the character, the way it's written in that show, is very, very good.
Yeah.
And so I found myself watching this movie this time, comparing Ed Norton to the Will Graham that I kind of know. I didn't watch that many episodes either, but it did. It is the comparisons happening in my mind. I'm pretty much, I'd say I'm a big fan of Ed Norton, like in what I've seen him in. I like him a lot. I hated Fight Club, not because of Ed Norton, but just because of the movie was terrible. Yeah. But
it's a niche movie, definitely.
But Ed Norton and a lot of other things is very good. So when I saw him in this movie, I could tell that he wasn't like Ed Norton
now
that I know.
Right. He
was much younger. And I kind of felt the same way as you, Dan, like where sometimes it didn't really flow, and he was playing it kind of weird. But sometimes I felt like he really settled in. And in those times, I'm thinking about like the scene where he, like the plexiglass scenes, I thought were very good when Hannibal Lecter. Let's just call him Hector.
We'll call him Hector.
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter accuses him of with the transitive property or something of being smarter than him. And he's like, how did you catch me? And he says, yeah, I got lucky. And he's like, you don't even believe that. And the whole that whole exchange, I thought was really good.
Doesn't he say, "'Cause you're insane"?
Yeah. Well, first he says he brushes it off like I got lucky.
Right.
Like there's no way
he didn't want to tell him he was insane.
No way I'm as smart as you. You know that. I know that. I got lucky.
Right.
Right.
And then he pushed him further to say it.
Exactly.
Because Hannibal knew that. That's why.
The exchange was so good, and I was like, "There's the Ed Norton."
But see, the problem is you're always gonna compare it to his chemistry with Clarice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is non-existent in this movie. There's no. The banter is not as good because the chemistry is not there, and then lines like that, and the character itself, I don't think he fleshed it out enough to where, all right, this guy isn't insane, but he's a profiler and can think like it's someone who's a psychopath. And that never really comes through with him. Like he never has any kind of real breakdowns to where you almost see like a transition. Like he has that. He almost has epiphanies.
Yep.
Not so much like he's thinking like the killer, and then like I don't know. I
like how in the Hannibal show, the Will Graham character is like physically beaten down or like physically exhausted from his,
because it's almost like a skill, a talent that he has. It's almost like a clairvoyance. A clairvoyant
but
would
not.
have.
It's just like Lecter said. Like he has the ability to
put himself
in these other people's minds and their shoes and what they're thinking,
and that would be exhausting.
And blah blah blah. Yeah. Absolutely exhausting, and that you didn't see that in this movie at all, which was a nice touch when they did the show.
Falls under what we always talk about with acting. You can act or you can be, and if you don't know your character well enough and believe in what they're saying, then you're always acting.
Yeah, like the reason why Graham's wife doesn't want him to go back to help with this case is, what when I'm watching it in the beginning is like, oh, because it's dangerous.
Right.
But
I never felt it was dangerous in this.
Right. But then I'm thinking more back to the Will Graham of the Hannibal show, and I'm like, well, if it was written like this, and like, maybe he has to like supplement with drugs and stuff to like cope.
Self-medicate.
Yeah. Like,
he most definitely should be an alcoholic in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like the Graham character didn't have as much depth as I feel it should have or could have. But I mean,
even unwritten, like a great actor would go into this, even if he doesn't take a drink in the movie. Like Al Pacino, they said in Heat he was a cokehead, but they never show him take a line at all.
Right.
But his behavior and his delivery of lines, that was what he told himself. That
Right.
this
Yeah.
guy's an addict and
Yes.
he's doing shit on the side. You're not seeing it. They're not showing the powder in his nose and all that stuff, but he's being it, and he's giving it layers that you can sink your teeth into or not. At face value, it's still a good movie. At face value, it's still good scenes.
Yeah.
But when you find that little level out, then you're like, oh, okay.
Oh, all this stuff makes sense
yeah,
now.
his delivery makes a lot more sense now.
Now, I don't want what I'm saying to be construed as like a huge criticism. I don't think it's that big a deal that he was like more straight-laced in this,
Right.
and held it together way better than other Will Grahams I've seen. I still think it's fine.
Mm-hmm. But I think the danger would have been there if they would have shown me him go to that dark place,
Right.
to where he can.
Where it's not only is it dangerous because he
already
might get
happened
killed. You know, well that it has. It's not only dangerous because he might get killed. It's also dangerous because he turns into a different person when he's
Right.
doing this. It's not good for his health. It's not good for, it's not
Yeah.
good.
It's not good.
Period. So, there's that take. Like I said,
know
I
what
don't
would've
want it
been
to
good?
take too much away from it because this movie is great. I think it's
I'm thinking, Vincent D'Onofrio would have been a good Will Graham in this movie.
Vincent
It would have been just like
D'Onofrio.
his. Wasn't he on one of the Law and Orders for a little while?
Remind
I
me
think
who D'Onofrio
Criminal
is.
Well,
Minds, one of those TV shows.
D'Onofrio is.
Oh my God, are you having to tell him who D'Onofrio is?
Was in the movie last week that we watched.
Yeah, I know, and I told you I knew his name.
He's also Private Pile.
Oh yeah.
He has the range to be able to play the straight cop,
Mm-hmm.
but also has the range to show that dark slip
Right.
that Norton doesn't. And I know he can do because I've seen a movie where he's done it.
Oh yeah.
And early.
Which one?
Can't tell you. It'll
Okay.
come up later.
Okay.
But he has the range. So to me, this falls under director.
Okay.
I don't know if Dan would agree with that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
To me,
No, I
if
mean,
the guy
I
has
think-
the range.
I think that he had the ability to pull this off, and the director just didn't
Yeah.
give him the opportunity to execute.
It's the Clooney factor.
But I am going to say one thing nice about the director, guys. Are you ready? This is the only nice thing I'm going to say about the director in this whole episode.
Okay.
When he is watching the videotapes, and he's like, how does he know about all these things, right? And they've talked about the bolt cutters. They make it a point to show you the shot with the padlock without him noticing it. So if you're paying attention, it rewards the viewer to be like, oh, fuck, there's the padlock. And then like a minute later, he looks again and, oh my God, there's the padlock. He saw this video.
He gave you the opportunity
But
to
it
notice a
Gave
minute
me the
before.
opportunity as a viewer to be like, yeah, there's a padlock. He must have seen this video. Give me the chance to play along. Thank you, Brett Ratner.
Mm.
B
Total
Rats,
mistake.
Mr. Rats. Thanks.
Total
this was
mistake.
not
Yeah,
a Stanley Kubrick moment.
he
This was a
he
total
didn't
mistake.
even do it on purpose.
That'd be hilarious. Ooh, we didn't even mean. We just oops.
Yeah, oops.
It's a processing error. We didn't mean to keep that second shot in. Oh, damn it. Either way, it turned out great, and I liked that part a lot because it got me feeling like I saw something.
My wife was across the room, not in eye shot of the TV, but she could hear them talking about how like he knows the insides of these people's houses, blah 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 blah, and my wife says, "What is he, a plumber? What is he, like was he an electrician? What is it? What is he like that? He knows the insides of the houses, right?" And it, like the next second, they're like, "We need to know like all the service people that have been in these houses." Like they had the same thought. So she did that kind of.
And I don't remember all the details because it's been like 20 years since I read the book. Ooh, something like that, horrible. But I'm pretty sure in the book Red Dragon, he's like an electrical. He disguises himself as a electric company guy, so he's checking the meters. So he has the ability.
Guy.
Exactly.
I had the same thought. He's a cable guy.
Can I come in and check up your cable, Steven?
I've never seen that movie, guys.
Oh my God.
I don't think I've ever seen it either.
We're watching it
Oh man.
next week.
Oh no.
I'm
I mean, it's
sorry.
probably fine, but I
Are
hear
No,
it's
you'll
not.
probably
Dude,
hate it
it's
because I
got-
love it.
It's got everything, Dan, that you love. It's got people. They make fun of people's disabilities.
It's an American
There's
Jell-O.
child abuse.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
great.
no.
You'll love it.
It's a Ben Stiller directed film.
Oh, well,
Did
that
he
might be
direct that
alright.
for real?
Yeah, he directed it. It was back when he had that MTV TV show, the Ben Stiller show.
Mhm.
When Sarah Silverman was on there.
I love her.
So this is like a long time ago. It's Matthew Broderick before he went into a coma and disappeared forever. And Jim Carrey, it's such a dark film that people were not expecting, and that's why it didn't get the love it should have. But it was ahead of its time, if you ask me.
Well, I'm down to watch it.
Okay, it's been too long since I said something nice about this director. Guys, couple of things that really drove me crazy watching this movie today. First of all, Hannibal has cameras all over his cell, and no one noticed him rolling a note from his mail into his toilet paper.
Thought that same thing.
Because
too.
the shot they have when they show him putting it back in the cell, I mean, maybe they just put those cameras in, but that's pretty short-sighted because this is Hannibal's cell.
Barney was helping Miggs clean
I'm so
up.
glad that Barney was in this movie. I love Barney. He's great. And
They
Chilton,
should make a movie about Barney and just all the different inmates that are in that place.
Dude,
That would be kind of a cool movie.
that could be a whole TV show. Chilton, by the way, sucks so bad, but like perfectly, right? Like
Yeah.
he is just as crappy as in Silence. And so I was happy he was back.
The douche meter goes off.
But again, longer hair to make him look young. He
Mhm.
looked not young.
No. What's the age difference? Is it 10 years from the Silence?
Yeah, it would have been 9 or 10 years, yeah.
Yeah. Barney looks exactly the same. So that worked. But
Which one was Barney?
He's
Barney
the
was
orderly. The guy who's like Hannibal never like gets mad at because he's so respectful of him.
He's the guy that. Yeah, I know who he is. He's right in the front of the hallway.
Yeah.
He opens the gate and closes the gate
Yes.
for
Yep.
you. Yeah. I remember him.
Ooh, and another nitpick that just drove me crazy. Mr. D pulls in with his van to drop the girl off at home, Reba. Drops Reba off at home, and she's like, hey, do you want to come in? And he's like, I don't know. And then he's like, okay, I'll come in. Dudes, he's parked like a foot away from the fire hydrant. So here's a guy trying to avoid police scrutiny, and he's going to get a parking ticket.
But here's a guy who kills people. You think he's going to worry about that law?
But here's the thing. Parking tickets are what always bring these criminals down,
Yeah,
right? Or like a
you're right.
busted tail light or whatever.
Well,
These
maybe
guys
that's-
should be avoiding police scrutiny at all costs. Like it should be a
Maybe-
personality trait. Wow, isn't that weird? Mr. D is very afraid of parking tickets. I wonder why.
Subconsciously, he wants to get caught, maybe. He wants to stop his spree.
I don't know.
I mean,
No, I
John
didn't-
Wayne Gacy
I
walked
didn't-
around like a clown, dressed as a clown,
I didn't
Hiding
get
in plain
that
sight, man.
feel.
hiding in plain sight.
I didn't get that feel from Francis Dollarhide at all. That
He's
he wanted
so
to be
good.
caught.
He's another one who's like a national treasure.
You know what got me, Dan?
What's that?
In the very last scene, when Graham and his son are held up in like the room at the end of the hall after the whatever, and he locks the door, and Dollarhide's trying to break into it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you know what I'm about to say?
I had a serious concern about the structural integrity of the door, but go on.
When
These aren't Pasadena walls.
when the wife comes in to open the door, she can't open it, and then she immediately just like breaks the slats that it's made out of and opens it from the lock from the inside.
She Michael Myers.
She was like, so, and at the point when I was watching it, like I get it, like, you know, Dollarhide is like, it's adrenaline. Like you just see a door and you're like, break it down. I get it, but like she had the presence of mind to say this door's locked. How do I get it open? Oh, well, I'll just like break these little, you know.
Well, yeah, from the moment they shut it behind them, I think, oh no, it's a Halloween door because it looks like the closet.
Right.
And I think his first push, he's going right through those slats, and instead he gives it like 4 or 5 good, like door jam hits. I'm like, you're hitting the wrong spot, bro.
Yeah,
Well-
and I chalked that up to like adrenaline, but it's really, really funny how easily the wife opens the door.
Yeah.
I know, it's so
It's
funny.
really
even
funny.
even Myers has to shake that door about 10 times before he starts breaking it.
That's what I'm saying. That last scene is a mess. It's just, it's one of those things that like in the moment it might unfold in a way that you don't nitpick it, but me being a person who picks the nits, I was just like, oh, I don't like this whole scene. It should have been reshot and reblocked.
But it's got a Scream headshot.
All of this
It
to
does.
say, I still love this movie.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a good
It's still
movie.
great.
It's good.
Someone should probably make it again.
Yeah. Yeah, now that you can do a youngification, you can get
Yeah.
all those actors back before they croak and make them young again. And
That reminds me, my biggest hang up in this movie was that Scott Glenn is still alive when they make this movie. He's alive today. Why is he not playing Jack Crawford?
yeah, why isn't he?
Why are you getting Harvey Keitel, who is amazing actor and he's an icon, but why are you getting the cleaner to come in and play Crawford when you have Scott Glenn, who is a working actor and alive?
Yeah. And it's
And
funny
probably
because
doesn't look much different than he did when he made the first movie.
talk about the distance in time between when I first saw this and now. I seriously was like, oh, Harvey Keitel is in this movie. And I didn't have any idea who that was 20 years ago, which is on me because I just hadn't seen him in anything. And now he's like
You didn't even
iconic
see him in
American
Sister Act?
actor. Well, I would have known him as, but I like the black detective guy from Sister Act more.
Oh, okay.
He was my guy. And so,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's funny that like now I'm like, oh crap, Harvey Keitel's here. And I don't remember him being here at all.
Yeah.
And
I
Bill
was thrown
Duke
off by
from Predator. Did you catch
Yeah,
him in
Bill
there
Duke's
as
in
the
there,
police
yeah.
chief? Heck yeah. Good cast. I mean, here's the thing. Dino doing his part, giving us a good cast, giving us great sets. The fire looks great. The Hannibal ponytail, I'm not a huge fan of.
Well, again,
Long hair makes him look younger. I know.
yeah, it's the well, not that it has to make him look younger. It's the, as I say, it's the This Is Us theory where we can tell you it's a different time period by showing different hairstyles.
Right.
So they're like, okay, he has this hairstyle in Silence. This takes place 10 years prior to Silence or 5 years prior to Silence. He obviously, this is before he got caught. So we got about 6 years. Maybe he had a ponytail.
Several years.
Hannibal Lecter's-
Several years. We don't have a specific date, which
You don't even have that?
I didn't love that. I actually do have. Oh, cool. It's several years later.
Several
Cool.
years. Okay.
So,
Several years.
so that could
earlier.
have been like the late 70s for all we know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know.
And-
It looked
And
very
I'm not
like,
ready to see him in a mustache. So
Pulp
do
Fiction.
the ponytail.
because
Yeah,
doesn't
I don't wanna see him in
Travolta
a
have a little ponytail in Pulp Fiction? That was where my
Yes.
brain went.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Guys, that hairstyle is like my hairstyle. you realize that, right? Like,
I mean, we tried to tell you the short way, but instead we went we started a podcast, got 100 episodes in before we're like, George, this is your
George,
intervention. Cut your hair.
Intervention.
I saw the scene.
Get
I
rid of
saw
the man bun.
I saw the ponytail, and I thought, oh my God, is that what I look like?
Now, just
If
don't
they-
keep arrows anywhere near you for a very convenient and very annoying out of nowhere
Yeah, right.
stab. I did not like that part. That part made me sad.
It would have been funny. It would have been like a top secret moment if he like pulled a bazooka out of the closet or something and shot him instead of pulling
He just
arrows.
fires an olive out of his belly button right into his eye while he's stabbing him. That would have been perfect. That's a Hot Shots part deux.
That
moment,
is
I
Hot
think.
Shot. Do part 2. We'll watch that season 7 during the Charlie Sheen block.
Yeah, I actually had a note on here. Arrows. I wonder if we'll see those again. And then next note. Oh, there they are.
There they are.
You see, he was looking at the arrows, and I'm like, trying to scope out something that's gonna get him to realize.
Well, talk about trying to live
some-
under the radar. Dude's got a tattoo on him that would throw up 19 red flags. Like, who's giving him this tattoo? He's not doing it himself, is he?
Oh, Dollar Hides
Mr.
tattoo?
D.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
going somewhere, and they're looking at that like,
Hey, man.
I
Tattoo
mean, listen,
community, real
to-
tight-lipped, lots of privacy.
okay.
that
I don't know
think
anything
that
about that,
I
but
think
it
I
sounded
think
good.
that, but I also
it did.
think that like tattoos that are underneath people's clothes, like You don't.
Yeah, but the guy doing the tattoo I can't remember.
Yeah, but the cops don't know he has a tattoo.
Oh, they haven't mentioned that's not part of the MO of the Red Dragon?
No, they don't know.
Okay.
No,
okay,
they don't know that.
Scratch that, reverse it.
And even if you did know that, then you're going to every tattoo parlor and talking to and like it's possible that the guy who did that tattoo is now on the other side of the country somewhere
well,
else.
Look what they did with Buffalo Bill. They went to every hospital that did reassignment surgery, and that's how they found James Gumb.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, if they knew he had that tattoo, sure, that's a viable thing to look into.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if that was like a mention, if that was like one of the, sometimes these killers have something that's visually associated with them. I wasn't sure if that was.
No, his whole thing, Hannibal kept mentioning facial deformity, but they didn't know what kind. So it helped us to know that it was consistent, right. But it didn't help the feds because they didn't know. Now, one thing.
His leave behind was the bite.
Yeah, the bite was the big thing. And I am going to say, guys, one other nice thing about the way this movie was directed, when they examine...
You do like this director. Look at you. That's like number 7.
When they examine the crime scene, the first one, they're very careful to follow my preference, which is show me the aftermath of a horrible thing, but never make me see the horrible thing. And in fact, when he's looking at pictures of the crime scene, he sees the pre... Right, and I guess this cuts to when Hoffman's in the chair, right?
Yes.
He's like, oh, here's the pre. Do you see? And then he shows her becoming, but we don't have to see that.
Yeah, we don't see that slide.
And then we see the aftermath, which we've already seen when he was examining the crime scene. So the movie follows my preference, which is if you're going to do something awful, let's just talk about it after. Let's not see the horrible thing for the sake of exploitation, right? Like, I'm not here to be abused by your movie. And I think I'm pretty consistent on that as we go through these last few movies. That's where my line's been, right? 7, good. Saw, bad. Right? The Cell, bad. Red Dragon, good. Now, I've said a nice thing about this director, so I have to even it out because,
Woof.
But,
Buzz's director, woof.
Buzz, your director, woof.
But let me see, because I had a good counter to that.
My daughter says that all the time.
And someone is in my room for some reason.
She's like 4.
I know. She'll go, Dad.
Oh.
Buzz's girlfriend. Woof.
Huh. Oh, we have some kind of emergency in the neighborhood. I thought these police sirens were coming for me. I'm going to have to go outside and take a look, because I'm a rubbernecker. But I have to think of that mean thing I was going to say about this movie, so I've been interrupted by a beautiful lady.
Oh, are you going to do the Dane Cook thing where you all stand on your front lawn? It's like, hey, act like it's cold. Hey, how's it going? Everybody's outside. I was in my kitchen washing a dish. He was in his bathroom. Tell him what you told me.
And then I came out, right? Isn't that the one where I came outside?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so
the car accident. When there's a car accident, everybody comes outside and they all want to talk. They want to tell the police what they heard.
So the thing about this movie that it harkens back to what we were talking about earlier, and these annoying, like, kind of underdeveloped callbacks to the Silence of the Lambs. That goddamn aftershave, guys. It's like Hannibal is this expert, this Fraser Crane, knowing all of his very fancy things, and the only aftershave he successfully identifies is the same one as the last one.
The Evian skin cream.
No, it's because he references her dad. He references Clarice's dad, wearing a aftershave with a ship on the bottle, and then this one, that's the aftershave with the ship on the bottle. I was like, oh my god, we're recycling so much.
I didn't even remember that. But that is a dig, man.
That's a shame, because to me, that's one of my favorite lines from Silence.
Yeah, it's great in Silence. It's so human. And in this one, it's just a throwaway. But it's that lip service versus like actual... Because you could build a world where, you introduce concepts. Yeah, it smells like my whole neighborhood's on fire. I better go outside and peek before they put it out. But yeah, so you build the opportunity. You get this opportunity to be like, hey... We're going to build things into this movie that then paid off already, but do it in a way that it seems like a natural progression for the characters. And instead, they're just like, okay, give me the checklist of things we mentioned in Silence. Let's get them in here. Missed opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I think bringing up the dude's scent at all, like, is kind of like too close to the Avion's
But at least they
skin
didn't do because to me the best part of that line is when he says, "But not today." So it kind of shows like not only does he place the smell, but it's like she was wearing it not today. She was wearing it like 2 days ago. So to me, it adds a creepiness.
Yeah, it's like
and a detail.
Yeah,
his ability to pick out her
necessary.
essence, like
yes,
yeah, that's way more
Which
effective. Way better
is
movie,
missing
but
in
this
this
is
oh
still
my
a
gosh,
good
I can
movie.
hear the sirens now.
Yeah, it's been going for a while. I'm gonna
That's
go
just Dan
peek.
on his hood of his car going, "Woo!"
I'm very excited.
Pull over.
Well, in case my power goes out or something crazy with this, let's wrap up for this week. Travis, what are we watching next week?
Well, Dan,
Tell us what I've won.
We are watching a movie that, I don't know, it's a classic from the 80s.
Familiar
called,
director.
Familiar director, Mr. Do we say his name?
No,
George won't remember anyway.
that's true.
That's true.
We have watched one of his movies before, I believe. The movie is called Manhunter. Do you know anything about Manhunter?
No.
Doesn't. Okay.
I suspect that you're gonna make some kind of parallel to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But
Do you
that's
like
every
going
movie,
back
so-
to the 80s?
I didn't do that with this. I wanted to.
I'm sure you could.
I probably could.
Are you excited to be back in the 80s, George?
Sure, why not?
Was it like 86, I think?
86? And there's
What
one
the hell?
stipulation with this one.
good year.
Meg needs to be the one to set it up, hit play, and pause it on a black screen, just like First Blood, because
Yes.
Okay.
it's a
it
First
needs
Blood
to be
moment.
a fresh First Blood type experience.
Okay.
Oh, I can't wait.
a Dusk Till Dawn moment.
Oh.
I will.
If I could bottle the feeling of George watching that movie, not knowing what it turns into, it's good.
Yeah. That
was a good payoff.
I love
was
that
worth-
movie, dude.
That
That's
was
a
worth
movie.
the price of
Oh.
admission.
that was mean. Well, no, actually, that's like that's kind of like the pinnacle of our podcast. You know, you don't get that
No.
unless you have a person like me.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for your
know?
service, George.
You're doing good work.
So I'm doing the Lord's work.
Thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class Podcast. As always, you could find us at facebook.com/remedialfilmpod, at remedialfilmpod@gmail.com, on Twitter and Instagram at remedialfilmpod. It's a whole thing. Hey, don't tell George about Manhunter, okay? He has no idea. And just like the movie Red Dragon, that ends with a fiery conclusion, but wait, there's more. This episode also ended with a fiery conclusion, and then a little more. So, when you guys were talking about the Hannibal TV show, and
Yeah.
this like almost psychic detective thing, I had this like weird synergy moment where in the last episode or the episode before, Travis mentioned the thing that makes Silence of the Lambs a good Oscar-winning movie and not a late-night Cinemax movie. That quote from Travis, mixed with me having watched this week an old late-night Cinemax movie called Forbidden Games, which is
Nice.
from the mid-90s. It's directed by
Shannon
Edward
Tweed.
Holtzman.
Is that a Tweed movie?
It could have been. She's not in it, but... So I'm watching this
Okay.
movie, and it's about a psychic detective. And I was just like, oh my god, these really are just the overlap between the Skinemax movies, the Silence of the Lambs. I mean, really, and the Jollos and the Slashers and the Fatal Attractions and the... It's all like a connected, slightly, tipping, here and there from violent to erotic, but...
And then sometimes you get the lightning in the bottle where, like Basic Instinct, where it should have been a late night Cinemax movie,
Yeah.
but it was just so well acted and so well made and written that it became, I don't want to say Oscar nominated quality, but it was definitely
It's better than its reputation, though. So
definitely.
hopefully
Yeah.
we get back to that genre soon. I'm not going to make George watch
Could be
Forbidden Games,
Showgirls
though.
at some point.
Yay!
Yay!
Shout out to the technician at the Patient First Urgent Care.
In Cherry Hill?
I don't know your name.
Across the street from Wegmans?
But you administered a COVID test to my wife recently, and it was negative, thank goodness. But
she's positive that you
had a big Jason tattoo, and she started talking to you, and apparently you're a big Giallo nerd.
Ooh, my kind of guy.
Future fan.
Check
Once we find out who he is.
Check this out. My wife talked to this dude about Giallo movies. Well, I guess she kind of just listened because you know how Giallo people are. They just
it's true.
Go on and on and on about Giallo. But for her entire interaction, and just forgot to mention the name of the podcast.
Yeah, because that's
simple.
simple.
Oh my
God. I'm gonna find you, technician at Patient First with a Jason tattoo, and we're gonna tell you what our show is called.
That's amazing.
And then you're gonna listen to this, and
so here's your shout out in about 2 years.
Here's your shout out once you get to episode 85. I don't know.
91.
91. Once you get to episode 91, it'll pay off.
Give us a call.
Guy from Patient First with a Jason tattoo.
It's a shame you didn't bring up a Silent Night, Deadly Night to him.
Oh, I'm sure he's a fan.
I'm sure.
Maybe we'll have him on.
Glad to punish COVID.
COVID, that's punish.
Maybe Dan. Maybe you and him can start a podcast about Giallos.
I don't have any time for any more podcasts. I'm too busy with this one.
Yeah. I'm waiting for like a Kermit the Frog.
Oh shit.